Hey, what's up, everybody? I believe you can be richly blessed from performing at your highest potential, and I am the one to coach you through your process. I am your high performance mindset coach, Jay Hollingshed, and this is episode 93 of 365 of my 7 pillars of mental performance. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Front row seat taken. My brother, AJ, I appreciate you. Arthur Hollingshed. Lieutenant Curtis Odom, I appreciate you. My man from Omega Psi Phi. All right. Thank you for everybody who's tuning in. Today is Monday, day 2 of the week, in which we discuss pillar number 2, which is confidence and motivation. Confidence and motivation. To finish my thank yous, thank you for everybody that's tuning in now, including you, Shirley Boylan. I appreciate you for tuning in. Also, my first-time viewers, I appreciate you. And anyone else that's tuning in or you watching this on repeat, thank you. You are truly appreciated. And speaking of repeat, everything I do is on my YouTube channel, where you can watch that on repeat. Anything between episodes 1 and 93, which is today's episode, you can catch on YouTube, or anything I've done before my 7 Pillars of Mental Performance in 365 Days series. Now, let's jump into the meat of today's topic. We're talking about confidence and motivation. Day number 2, pillar number 2. Now, the reasons we have for acting a certain way or behaving in a certain manner, our general desire or willingness to do something, our enthusiasm, our drive, our initiative, our determination, all of those are terms and phrases that describe motivation. Now, I went to a website, and it's called bustle.com. Rhymes with hustle, but it starts with a B as in Bravo instead of an H. So it's bustle.com. And this website has some interesting articles on motivation. One that I found that I can truly share with you guys and you can benefit from. And it's a quick rundown, and it's called 11 Ways to Stay Motivated to Achieve Your Goals. 11 ways to stay motivated to achieve your goals. I'm going to run down them and probably hit, accent on them or accentuate on them or give an example or two and see how that lands on you. Now, tip number 1, don't assume money will motivate you. Do not assume money will motivate you. Now, money will motivate you, but we're talking about ways to stay motivated. You can get the money, that'll start you out. You can start running your race. But when that money is gone, you still got to keep running. You got to keep rolling. So, no, don't assume money will motivate you. Kimberly Odom Webster, I appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you. Jason Ramirez, all right. All my people tuning in, thank you. We're talking about motivation. We're running down 11 tips to help you stay motivated. We just went over number 1, which is making sure don't assume money will motivate you. Let's go right to number 2. Number 2, make sure that the goals you're trying to reach are your goals, okay? Make sure you are trying to reach your goals, because if you're trying to reach a goal somebody else planted in your head, then that won't motivate you. That's actually an extrinsic motivation or an extrinsic goal, because it's not from within. It's not from inside you. You aren't the one that actually, that's not your purpose. It's not your why. So it's not going to motivate you. Hey, Victor Brooks Sr., I appreciate you, the man that motivated me through a lot of things and planted seeds to have me motivating you on this episode today of Confidence and Motivation. So thank you, Victor Brooks. I appreciate you for tuning in. We're talking about confidence and motivation. Number 1, don't assume money will motivate you. Number 2, make sure that they are your goals. Only your goals will motivate you, will drive you, and push you. The same definitions I gave earlier about motivation. It's the enthusiasm, it's the drive, the ambition, the initiative, the determination. All of it has to come from within. And if that comes from you, it is your goal. You can't get that from somebody else. So it has to be your goal. Make sure those are your goals that are motivating you. Let's go to tip number 3. Number 3, visualize the results. You have to see them here before you make an advancement towards it. Because if you can't see where you're going, you won't be going towards your goal. Or you might take a lucky guess and go towards your goal. But it's like driving a car. If you're driving a car and the windows are blacked out, you can't see where you're going. We go in the direction that we see. Okay, so you have to have clarity up here. The body always follows the mind. And you have clarity in mind, you have clarity in purpose, and you can move forward with clarity. You can move forward with a passion, because if it's cloudy up here or confusion up here, then you're going to be confused in your actions. And there's no such thing as moving passionately and confused at the same time. Okay, so make sure that you visualize your results and see them clearly. Not look at them with your eyes, but see them with your mind's eye. See them clearly before going forward. EJ Eddings, thank you for tuning in. Bob Jones, thank you for tuning in on this Confidence and Motivation Monday. Let's pick up where we left off. Now, number 4 of 11. Number 4, break down the goal in small pieces. How do you eat an apple? An apple is bigger than your mouth. You eat an apple in small bites. So how do you achieve your goals? Your goals are going to be more than likely bigger than you can handle at one time. So you break it down into small pieces. You break your goals down into small pieces. You can take them one little piece at a time. It's kind of like that book that says, how did you, I think it was Jack Canfield, talking about how you eat an elephant. You eat it in small bites, one bite at a time. It was either Jack Canfield or I forget the other guy's name, another motivation guru. However, you got to go one at a time. Lisa Thomas, thank you. Hey, I appreciate you on the compliment. Great job. Great job on you tuning in as well. Thank you. Now, let's go straight into number 5. Number 5, tap into other people's energy. Tap into other people's energy. Now, that goes back to the law of energy. Energy is never lost. Energy is never destroyed. Energy is always transferred. Think about it. Someone smiles at you. What are you going to do? You're going to smile back. If there's a group of people laughing nearby, you're going to start smiling, and you want to laugh too. You want to start gravitating, or you're going to start gravitating towards them just to find out what it is that's funny, and you want to laugh too. So the energy is transferred. So tap into other people's energy, especially when it's related to your goals. If you see somebody else doing something positive and they got that good drive, that good energy, that good determination going, you need to get with them. Tap into that energy, especially if you are tired. It will help keep you going. Daryl McConnell, I appreciate you. Oh, man, everybody, all my Memphis people tuning in. God bless every one of you. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. We're talking about confidence and motivation, Daryl, and we are on tip number 6 of 11. Tip number 6 of 11. Frederick Shadding, we are on tip number 6 of 11 for staying motivated. You're just in time for number 6, which is get organized. Get organized. Organize your goals. When you organize your goals, that leads back to what I was saying about clarity. You have to proceed with clarity. If there's confusion, you're not going to know which way to go. You have to have clarity within your goals. You have to see or be able to move with a purpose. But if you're confused and there's no clarity, there's no purpose. You're moving with confusion, and you cannot make forward advancements if you're not organized. Simple as that. Now, number 7, keep the big picture in mind. Keep the big picture in mind, especially if you have big goals. Big goals require you to keep the big picture in mind. Like my man Frank, who just tuned in. We used to have a big picture in mind, which is to what? Put out that structure fire. So when we get tired of fighting fires, and we still going, we're tired. Sometimes it takes a long time to put out a house fire. You got to do some hard work. But the big picture is right there in front of us. We keep that in mind. We know that is going to, it's actually somebody's property. There could be somebody in there. So we got to keep going. The big picture is preserving life and property. That's what we had to do. So keep the big picture in mind. Even if you have big goals, you got big goals like me. My big goal is to do 365 episodes of my 7 Pillars of Mental Performance. I'm on episode 93, and we are into the 4th month now that it's April. Am I tired of doing them? Yeah, I kind of get tired of doing them, but then again, I look at the big picture. You know what my big picture is? At the end of 365 days, I plan to have a book, My 7 Pillars of Mental Performance. It will be put into a book. Okay, so all of this is good advertising and good research, and all this is what I'm doing. It's actually going to be put in a book of my 7 pillars of mental performance. So that's my big goal. So keep the big picture in mind when you're staying organized. More people tuning in. My volleyball coach, Megan Hubble, I see you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Karan Butler, thank you for tuning in. We are on tip number 8 of 11 for staying motivated when you are tired. Tips to stay motivated. Now, tip number 8, don't worry about what you cannot control. Do not worry about what you cannot control. That's going to stress you out. And on top of that, as I stated earlier, the mind can only focus on one thing at a time. If you are focused on things you cannot control, how are you going to be focused on staying motivated? How are you going to be focused on reaching your goal? Keep your mind on the big picture, the big objective. Things you can control. What can you control? You and your actions. Nobody else. That's why these are your goals. Or going back to the earlier tip, make sure these are your goals. So control what you can control. Tip number 9, seek out positive information. Positive information. Now you may be asking, what does that do? Seeking out positive information. Just the opposite of what seeking out negative information would do. Seeking negative information will drag you down. It will drain you. It will bring you down. It is not motivating at all. So you want to seek out positive information. Positive information is like getting hold of that positive energy. It's going to take you to a place where you can push a little bit further. We're talking about staying motivated when you are tired. So we're talking about 11 ways to stay motivated. Now, tip number 10. Number 10, remind yourself why you set your goal in the first place. Why you set your goal. That's the main thing. Knowing your why. What is really important. Know your why. That's what's going to push you. That's what got you started in the first place. Your why could be the fact that you're tired of being looked over for a promotion. You're tired of being on the B team. You want to be on the A team on your athletic club. You're tired of sitting there twiddling your thumbs. You're sitting in the same financial situation. You ready to move forward. Everybody else around you is progressing, but you're not. You're tired of carrying the same weight. You want to do something different with your body. So that's your why. And those are your goals. And everything I mentioned, except for a couple, they are intrinsic goals. So those are goals that are going to push you, that are going to move you. Okay? Make sure that you seek out positive information and remind yourself of why you set your goal. Number 11, the 11th and final one, be consistent. Consistency matters. Why? Because it's like priming a well. All my old school people that are watching, you know about priming a well. Especially if you're from the South or from the country like me, you priming a well, you just pumping. You pumping that thing. You pumping that thing. You can hear the water coming. You can hear it coming, but you got to be consistent. Keep pumping, keep pumping, keep pumping. Once that water comes rushing out, you can stop pumping. You're good. You can stop pumping then. Why? Because if the flow is there, you are in the flow. And if you are trying to reach your goal and you are consistent, when you are consistent enough, you get that flow going. And that flow is kind of like being in the zone. So a lot of sports psychologists and athletic trainers call that being in a peak state. So be consistent. It's one thing I'm trying to do with this 365 days of my 7 pillars of motivation. Consistency matters, people. Consistency matters. It builds up and it helps push you and motivate you to where you want to be. Frank D. Robinson, my man, my frat brother, my mentor of 20-something years. Frank D., I appreciate you for tuning in. Now, that is all I have for my 7 pillars of mental performance in 365 days for this day. This is episode 93 of 365. And this has been day 2 in which we discuss pillar number 2 of 7. And pillar number 2 is always confidence and motivation. So that's all that I have. And for anyone, if you are interested in having some accountability or an accountability partner when you get tired and you need that extra push, that extra motivation, reach out to me at speaktojay.com, speaktojay.com. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Be well, stay blessed, and through love, be a blessing. God bless.